Exciting. We're going live. This is exciting, Rick. I'm talking to someone in the future, folks, and I'm broadcasting. Now, right now, it is December 31st at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
And I want to hear what
Yeah, from
is
a
the
time
time and
traveler.
date there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a time traveler 14 hours ahead in 2024 in the future. So I can assure you, you're safe. The world is still here, as far as I can tell, and you're going to be okay because I'm 14 hours ahead in the future. I'm a time traveler.
That's
Uh,
excellent. That's
I'm
important. We wanted to find out. So, folks, it's not New Year's. It's New Year's is coming. It's not here yet, and I thought I'd talk to someone in the future. My best friend from Japan, that from actually from St. Andrews, now living in Japan, and he's giving us a report that we've made it. So, just so you know, this is very exciting to know. We wanted to broadcast this so everyone it would know that you can relax tonight and know the future is still there.
That's right.
So, how do they celebrate New Year's in Japan, Rick?
Well, um, it's a big deal, actually. So the 31st, December 31st, typically Japanese eat a long type of noodle made of soba, type of wheat, and that the long noodles represent a longer life and a continuation from the previous year to the next year. And they also go to temples, uh, Buddhist temples, and hit a bell a bunch of times to sort of exercise their sins, guilt away in preparation for the new year. Now, some people, not myself, of course, have to hit that bell a lot in order to get the job done. Uh, but of course, it depends on the weather. Some people do that, some don't. Also, at the turn of the year, after midnight, there's a countdown, just like there is in the States, by the way. They do celebrate a countdown, people who are still awake. Um, and people who are still sober enough, to do this and count correctly. Uh, at midnight, after midnight, there's also a tradition to go to a shrine. That's sort of the national religion of Japan, Shinto. It's called Shintoism, and that's what my wife and I just did. We went to a shrine, not just like some hours ago in the past. The past is safe too, by the way. So
Oh,
we went
good.
back. So back in the past, we went to the shrine, a local shrine, and it was just a deluge. It was really heavy rain, but it didn't stop a lot of people who surprisingly didn't look all that sober. I don't know what that's all about. But anyway, we were served local sake for free, a little bowl of noodles, hot noodles, which was really good, and prayed for health and wealth and hair and whatever you want. For the New Year's, typically people throw a coin into a little box that's set up in front of the door of the building, the shrine building, which you can't really enter. You just sort of stand in front of it and you clap your hands a few times and you bow a few times and clap again and pray. But it's really a lot of fun because for a lot of Japanese and people like me who are living here, they go to the local shrine. They just walk to a nearby shrine, and so you see some of the neighbors that you might not have seen for the entire year. So it's a great chance to see people, see who's still alive, who's still able to walk and talk somewhat coherently, and yeah, a little bond there. So we had a lot of fun. Um, but anyway, that's the tradition of most people, as far as I can tell, for being here a few years. Um, yeah.
And what about the young people? Do they go out and party like the U.S.?
Yes, yes, they do, including both of my sons, who, yeah, yep, all nighters, some of them, um, and yeah. The food's somewhat different, obviously, here in the States, but No mistletoe. Probably less communicable diseases, but not necessarily. That's something to research. Anyway,
So,
no, it's quite similar. It's quite similar in some ways.
so your sons went to probably I mean, they're both old enough, probably a little local bar where there's some get together and cheer in the new year. And
Exactly, local sort of pubs. They call them izakayas here.
that's
So
what
you
I
go in.
loved when I was there, how there's still little local bars where there'd be like a one owner and his wife. And
Mhm.
I think her job was to laugh at dumb jokes of people paying money for alcohol. I would eat some of
Yeah,
it.
that was part of it. Yep, yep. But
But it was
they're
wonderful.
really a lot of fun. They can be a lot of fun, and some of them specialize in great food, local food, and other types of food. But yeah, been the tradition. I think it was particularly exuberant this year, the celebrations, because of we really are sort of past the COVID years. The whole lockdown and the semi lockdowns that went on, and so I felt that like there's parties that lead up to this. By the way, they're called Boning Kai parties, and that's sort
Ah.
of the end of the year parties. They're held mid and end of December, and those are big events with either groups of friends or companies, corporate parties, and people cut loose during those as well. Um, and I think that they were particularly uh, boisterous this year. I went to a couple myself, a perfect gentleman, needless to say, my behavior. At least I
Well, that's
aspired.
right, because obviously there are Christians in Japan that might celebrate Christmas, but it's really the end of year more as a celebration than
Yeah,
what we do for Christmas.
yeah. I mean, all joking aside, this is in many ways a secular society. They don't. There might be. I think there's a spirituality here that a lot of people have, but there's a very small percentage of people that are, I think, strict adherents to Buddhism or Shintoism or Christianity.
Right.
But there's a sense of tradition, culture, cohesiveness that I think that the temples and shrines, being as old as they are, it's part of their tradition that brings that sense of, as I say, a solidarity and cohesiveness. It's the beauty of traditions and cultures that you're familiar with, that continue onwards year after year, that help bind societies together despite technological changes and demographical changes. So yeah, that's typically what happens. Now today, January 1st, we're going to be eating a special food.
Uh-huh.
It's called osechi gyori, and this is most Japanese. I mean, a high percentage. It's somewhat similar to Thanksgiving in that it's kind of a set menu with some little variations, but um, that's osechi gyori is it's an old custom, and it was set up to for women to be able to take a break during the times when the roles were more a set sort of. Women would cook and the men would be working hard, and then for 2 or 3 days, January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are national holidays and have been for a long time. And during those 3 days, women would not have to cook. They'd prepare dishes that could be kept cold, and they prepare them a few days before that. So in the late December, it'd be a typical house cleaning, the end of the year cleaning, a really thorough cleaning of the house, cooking the dishes for this osechi gyori, and then they'd set aside 3 days, January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, to mainly eat that kind of food, and the women would be able to take a break from cooking. Um, and that still holds to some degree at least. But so my family will be eating osechi gyori today, those dishes, but probably only lunch because dinner we're all spoiled now. We want to go back to eating hot food and other types of food, but it still continues. So that's what's on the itinerary for me and many people living in Japan. The
And
vast majority. It's
so,
kind of
what
cool.
is that dish made out of? What the dish that you were
Well,
talking
it's
about?
actually when you visited Japan, you probably, of course you did. I remember you ate bento. What's called bento. They're like lunch boxes, but
Yeah,
you know that they have a bunch. It's like a box that you open it up, and it can be one layer or two layers. You know, the little box of foods that are compartmentalized into little sections. There could
I
be
see.
a little section of salad, like a mini potato salad in one area, and boiled fish in another area, and baked chicken in another, and it's really cool. And osechi jori is like a gorgeous big lunchbox,
I see.
highly decorated. But traditional foods would include what's called kuramame, black beans
Uh-huh.
um, that are sweet, and um, and many types of fish, sour foods, some things that are uh, more palatable for me than others. Uh,
Right,
but
like natto. They have not. They don't have natto on it, right?
I haven't noticed natto in the yeah natto yeah that's fermented beans,
Yeah,
and it kind of smells like very old socks,
yeah,
uh,
right, right. I was not
fermented socks, yeah, something.
right,
Uh,
right. So they're
no,
so they
it's one
have
of those
those
foods
as
you can't
well.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
I don't think that's not typically part of
right,
the
but they.
Osage.
How about the pickles? They're delightful Japanese
They are.
pickles too.
That's right.
Really like them.
They play a prominent role. And there are different types of those. They're called tsukemono. Yep. But there's one other thing I forgot to mention. It's sort of an it's something that often goes along with osechi dishes that almost all Japanese people will be eating. That's called omochi. It's like
Uh
a sticky rice balls.
huh.
It's very sticky. It's very chewy, and they can be baked or boiled. If they're boiled and put in a soup, it's called ozoni, and that ozoni again has a long tradition, has a long history, and it's very good. But it's also dangerous. Usually, some elderly people unfortunately die of it every year because it gets caught in their throat. They can't swallow it properly. But again, despite the dangers of it, it's extremely popular, and we're going to be eating that today as
Excellent.
well.
New
Yep.
Year's resolution. Now you've already proven that we made it into the new year, since I'm
Yep.
calling
Yep.
from
We're safe
Raleigh and you're in the future.
for
But what about New Year's resolutions? Do people make them, or like they
Mm.
do in America?
I, I I haven't found them to be as popular as they are in the states. There is something called the first, like Hajime, first, and then after that they'll put various verbs. For example, the first visit to the shrine, the first sunrise, the first whatever, and then it could be your first goal.
Uh-huh.
It's somewhat of an approximation.
Right.
Um, the first bargain sale recently is a big deal for shoppers.
I
But
see.
how about you? What do you recommend for people about New Year's resolutions yourself? What's your
Absolutely. Well, to me, one of the most important things about New Year's resolutions is if you're going to do something, make sure you think from the end of the year coming backwards. So you're thinking, what do I want this to ultimately look at the end of 2024? So we're really looking in my class we call it the Merlin technique. What do we want to look like? What is the why about it? Where's the passion in it? What's the benefit? You really want to stack the payoff of what
Mhm.
you'll get when you reach whatever you're going for. And
Mhm.
then if you can get someone to assist you, work backwards through time to the present. That kind of
Mhm.
disrupts our internal bias that we have a little bit. The other aspect is what structure are you setting up to guarantee it? Like some people at the beginning of the year will hire a success coach like myself.
Mhm.
But to have a structure, but this could be structure of accountability buddy, an agreement, somebody you don't want to disappoint. You go, okay, I'm going to go for this, and we'll stay in touch with it. I'm an advocate of structure over discipline. If you want to
Mhm.
be
Yeah.
able to not eat cookies in the new year, remove them from your house. So
Mhm.
that's the wisdom here. So think in
Yeah,
terms of what
smart.
structure, but you also have to go, what is the why? What's going to get me on fire about this? What's going to get me excited about it? Why should I start working on changing a habit? Because changing any type of habit really takes at least 90 days, quite a bit of work, and it's real effort.
Hmm. Oh, that's great advice. And yeah, it sounds good. Um, so my family here, we have New Year's resolution customs, but I think I imported it from the States, and I've sort of imposed it on the family here. But they all seem to appreciate it. Now we always tease each other at the end of the year, when the day of reckoning comes. When, well, so did you lose that 40 pounds that you were planning to lose? And then there's always a sort of a squirming and
Right, right.
excuses, the laundry list of excuses. Um, your approach, though, that's interesting. I like that idea. Yeah,
And it's
looking
really
back.
about making a promise and breaking it into realistic. What's realistic? What can we first? Where do we ultimately want to go? Work our way backwards. Have realistic structures in place, and then be able to adjust. Okay, this is what I said I'm going to do. We aren't on target. We're going to intentionally adjust the goal, so you don't just throw it out the window. You make
Right.
adjustments, and that has a little more integrity. So it's not something you need to forgive yourself at the end of the year for because you didn't
Mm.
do it. What's the structure for fulfillment?
Sounds very practical. That sounds good. Yeah, I'm going to give that a shot.
And then
Yeah.
I've got to say, in the closing moments of that, I have two good books that you helped with coming available in the new year. The
You
relationship
did a great
marketing
job.
for
Yeah,
the
I
ground
have.
game. Okay, well, let me get these up one at a time on the screen, of course. And this is exciting. We already have 25-star reviews, and you helped on the formatting and making it possible, lots of videos on it. And then with Dr. Justin Rose, we've got the fundamentals of
Mhm.
artificial intelligence to get people so they're knowledgeable. So we've got, something on the ground to build more business and something to give you a business technological advantage. And so that's two things I say the best. I think with taxes on Amazon, you're going to spend about $35, completely. And probably some of the best investments. So one of
Yeah.
my missions this year is really supporting the training so people get the benefit from these and really they're able to use the tools, the technology tools to enhance the business, and then, of course, the relationship marketing cubed, being able to really integrate that so that they can build their business. I call it the
Mhm.
ground game and the web game.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's great. Uh, by the way, congratulations again. Because, before the year ends,
Yeah.
those are two wonderful accomplishments. But I really do think that, like you said, that these can be very helpful going ahead in 2024. Uh, with armed with the information in these two small, these are not. There's no waste here in terms of just babble and fluff.
Yeah.
They get right to the point. So I had nothing to do with the writing. I simply helped formatting and with with the cover
Cover.
design and all that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. They're both excellent. Love
good
them.
content,
Love them.
and it works. I don't see
Yeah.
why this can't work in Japan or in the States or anywhere else. So it's very good info. I plan to use both of these books going ahead. Once I come up with now I have to give some thought about my New Year's resolutions, but I think this will help. Both of these books will help with that. So,
Well, this was
cool.
a blast, Rick. Be able to
Yeah.
let people know the future 2024 is there and it looks safe. So we're starting the new year, checking in from Raleigh at, let's see, our closing time is 7:51 Eastern Standard Time, December 31st. And over in your, what time and date is it?
It's plus 14 hours, so it's about what is it? Almost 9:50 a.m. January 1st. So yeah. Now this has been great, by the way. So thanks for your listeners to put up with my nonsense. But this has been fun, and best wishes to everyone, all of you, to everyone, for a great year ahead. And I hope a peaceful successful and healthy year for all of us ahead.
That sounds great. Thanks so much, Rick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's been my pleasure. Take good care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.